It's really great to be here, and this is 5 something, and we still have a full house. It's great. Today's topic is strengthening Hong Kong's position as a international maritime center. So if I may, before inviting our distinguished panelists, from the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping, I would just like to share with you, my view, which I hope is the common view of what an international maritime center is for Hong Kong and for China, or in particular, Hong Kong's positions within the 14th five-year plan and also the coming 15th five-year plan. Okay, so for Hong Kong International Maritime Center, I think there are two things going on in parallel. One is the traditional port business. So a lot of people would link that part of business towards the throughput, of Hong Kong, and you have seen, the numbers might have dropped. However, if you're talking about throughput within the Greater Bay Area, including Hong Kong, we are still number one in the world. Of course, Hong Kong itself, owing to the lot of past and present reasons, Hong Kong, to reinvent itself, as a port, it has to go to the direction of being the best, the most efficient transshipment port, and also that has to do something with green bunkering. So going future, you will see that the government also will have the right policy to encourage as much traffic coming to Hong Kong, and that is the traditional part of the business. So another part of the business regarding Hong Kong as a maritime center, somebody, at the risk of oversimplifying, it would be something like a model after what London has done and more. I mean, for what London has done, it is a maritime center without a lot of shipping traffic or cargo going through. But most importantly, all the businesses are done there. So what has been done, for Hong Kong in the past few years, it is really emphasized that the commercial principles, have to be based in Hong Kong. Commercial principles, following the commercial principles are the maritime clusters, people that are associated with the owners. So those will be people in the finance business, in the legal business, insurance, shipbroking, ship management, and all that. So this is all about building the maritime cluster. And in recent times, you would have heard, for the positioning of Hong Kong, there is this 3 centers and 1 high ground. So the 3 centers is Hong Kong is the international finance, shipping, and trade center. Shipping in itself is very capital intensive. So shipping has a natural link to finance. So this is also one of the reasons why Capital Link, always, have received a very, very good audience, whenever we have conferences, in Hong Kong. And the parts that maybe Hong Kong has not done as well is perhaps, on the trading side, on the commodity side. Some of these trading businesses have been going elsewhere, but this is being changed, as we speak. So what is happening is, for Hong Kong, finance, shipping, and trade collectively has to be progressed together. And what is the high ground? It's about talent. Talent is not only the traditional maritime talent, but talent, in progressing these 3 centers together. So without further ado, I'll just say that, for Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping, the establishment of it is really to enhance the maritime cluster, the maritime community in Hong Kong. I want to say that, I myself, I serve in the Hong Kong Shipowners Association. I also serve in the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping proudly. And Hong Kong Shipowners Association is a founding member of the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping. So in the spirit of one big family, and also in the spirit, that we are going to enhance the maritime cluster in Hong Kong, so that we provide the best service to Hong Kong, to China, and also to the rest of the world. Maybe I would just introduce, a very short video to you. Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping was established, a year ago. And so in this first year anniversary, it is a recap of what is done. And there's also another great thing. So for those who are not so good at Mandarin, this is a perfect time for you to use the Mandarin, and because there are also subtitles there, and it's a great video. Please.
2024年10月7日，香港航商总会正式成立，致力于打造全产业链、全生态的行业总会，提升香港国际航运中心地位，成为国家建设海洋强国的重要支点。作为覆盖全产业链的行业枢纽，香港航商总会使命在肩。第一，凭借香港一国两制优势，发挥超级联系人作用。第二，推动香港航运向高增值服务转型。第三，建立全方位平台，覆盖人才培养、政策研究及产业协同。第四，向政府建言献策，推动有利航运业发展的政策落地。第五，推动香港及大湾区绿色航运转型，打造香港成为区域绿色航运燃料加注中心。这一年中，我们一共向特区政府提交了3份战略建议，同时我们积极构建全球合作网络，建立本会与内地部委、香港政府各部门的常态化沟通，开展环渤海、大湾区、长三角区域协作。此外，我们也与各个国际海事机构开展合作，助力国家向海图强。过去这一年，我们积极搭建行业对话平台，不仅促进会员间的深度交流，更先后在深圳盐田和香港举办清洁能源供应链会议，汇聚国内外专家与行业领袖，共同探索绿色能源转型的可行路径。同时，我们已参与举办了天津东江第8届中国海事金融法律研讨会、第2届浙港专业服务合作会议及2025海洋合作发展论坛等一系列重要活动，充分彰显了香港在推动海洋脱碳与专业服务合作方面的战略地位与积极引领作用。过去这一年，我们奠定了全产业链协作的基础。下一步，我们将引内联外，持续构建绿色航运新生态，强化香港高端海事服务枢纽功能，全面巩固与提升香港国际航运中心地位。香港航商总会链接产业，驱动未来。
May I ask all our distinguished panelists, to come on stage? And while we are doing this, where's Nick? Yeah, I think you can talk, while everybody is going to come up on stage, right? So I'm sure everybody knows him, from BB, yeah. And so while you take your seats, so okay, you're not based here, right? So what is your comment, about the position of Hong Kong as a maritime center? And if you agree with that, what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses, of that? Of that?
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yep. Many thanks, Kenneth. Well, it's always great to be in Hong Kong, and I started my working life here in '91. So it's wonderful to come back. I think certainly, probably, prefer to people who are more based here at the moment. But certainly, having been on this journey with the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping since launch a year ago, I think there are a couple of things that are, really obvious. Hong Kong is a tremendous center in its own right, standing as a global mega shipping state that's part of a much bigger state. Obviously, we all know the one country, two systems gives it special status. And I think that relationship to China is perhaps really, from my perspective now in Europe, is what really sets it apart. Clearly, the role of the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping has played, a very important part of that super connector aspect that we hear about, And on the basis the future of shipping is going to be about much more than just the ship. The connection into supply and value chains for things like new green fuels is just one of many examples, I think, where Hong Kong and its ambitions to be a trading and supply hub for new green marine fuels, really sets it apart in terms of its ambition. But it still stands alone, and that's why you have the big ship managers here. It's perhaps not as big a port as it was, but it's still in the top 10 container ports in the world, and one of 7 Chinese container ports in that top 10. So Hong Kong is a very special shipping city.
But just a quick one. So for BV's strategy, how important is it, that you have a presence in Hong Kong, and what do you think, what we have done, our soft skills and all that, is helping your businesses?
Yeah, certainly I've talked about people this week. Bureau Veritas is more than just a class society. We're a major testing, inspection, and certification organization active across supply and value chains for just about everything in the commodity space, oil and gas, power and utilities, fuels, from teddy bears being certified in factories to, soya beans coming from South America to China. We're there across all those value chains. So, China and Hong Kong here, is a vital part of our business.
Thank you, Nick. And now turning to Lianjun. So Lianjun and I and Hing are all the founding members, of the Chamber of Shipping. So I think you can share with us a bit more how this positioning, of Hong Kong as a maritime center has to do, with your business, as a lawyer, and how what is some of your, initial feelings, since the establishment, of the chamber in enhancing, the strength, of Hong Kong.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lianjun Li. I'm very pleased to be invited here, and as Case mentioned, I'm one of the 4 founding members of Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping. I am a lawyer. I came to Hong Kong in 1993. My firm is Rees Smith Butler. This year marks us 45 years anniversary in Asia. By way of introduction, we are providing services to Hong Kong shipping industry, to people in China, in the world. So we are really helping our clients in terms of their dispute resolution. Hong Kong is really unique. If I may, I can quote a judge in the UK. We had a case between Shagang Shipping and Daewoo in 2015. And the contract was incorporating BIMCO standard Gencon form. And then we challenged the jurisdiction of the London Arbitration Tribunal. Justice Hamblin, who is now the judge of the Supreme Court, he made a comment. Hong Kong has a good reputation for neutrality. Not only for the court, they have professional, these really highly recognized by the world. So in Hong Kong, really, we can provide the legal services. As you know, most of the international firms have their offices in Hong Kong. They provide shipping, finance, and legal service. Then this year, I know Professor Chen is here. Hong Kong University has started Master of Law in Maritime Law degree. I understand they have attracted 30 students doing the study, and Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping has sponsored 7 of them in studying. This afternoon, we had a meeting with the Deputy Minister of Transportation of China. One of the proposals I made is not only maritime Hong Kong, in order to support the shipping industry, we have to have other shipping education, including transportation, shipping business. And Hong Kong is really has its unique position, as Nick mentioned, Hong Kong port, although now it's within, it's probably a little bit compared with other, but it's one of the top 10. We have good facility. And then for the services, we have most, well-known ship managers are here. We have P&I clubs, 12 of 13 international group clubs. They have offices here. Yesterday, and Hong Kong P&I was formally announced to be set up, and we are very happy to assist this formation. I think still Hong Kong has this unique position. If we compare with other maritime centers like Singapore and London, we have really the industry behind us. Just across the border, we'll see the factory shipping.
Yeah.
So that's really unique.
Thank you, Lianjun. Maybe later on I will come. I'll get back to you. On how Hong Kong, has been enhancing itself as a overall, arbitration center, and how this is also, helping the Chinese counterparts, in getting the right, arbitrations, fair decisions. But before that, maybe Greg. You probably, for the maritime industry, you're probably the least known to us, right? So can you actually describe a little bit about your business and how, your innovative part of the business, can fit right into, the Hong Kong as a maritime center?
Yeah, for sure. I think least known maybe because I'm the youngest.
By far.
What we do at Venture Energy is bridge the gap between the producers of marine fuel in Greater China and indeed across Asia and the European buyers of that fuel. When we started looking at this market and the development of the renewable fuel market in marine 2-3 years ago, we saw that there was a lot of interest, speculation around the world. There was a strong set of rules being developed in Europe, and there was the capacity to supply that in Greater China. But there was no real bridge between those two things. And we figured that Kwong Venture Energy, as part of the kind of Hong Kong network that's always linked Greater China with the world, we could work with our friends on the other side of the boundary, up in the north of mainland China, and our friends in Europe to try and bridge this gap. So that's what Venture Energy does. We're buying fuel, methanol and ammonia primarily, although of course we're looking into things like bio-LNG now with the MEPC 83 rules, and we're supplying that, helping European buyers procure that in a way that meets their requirements, which, given it's a new fuel and given it's a complicated space, relatively stringent.
Greg, may interrupt. Actually, I was in a very interesting presentation that you did, yesterday, and you were talking about, how much more that you have achieved, in the past year or so. How has the chamber been helping you, on this?
Yeah, the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping is a pretty unique forum because it does something that I think a lot of ship owners don't traditionally do, which is reach quite far past the conventional remit into the rest of the supply chain. And that's important in decarbonization because at the end of the day, it's the cargo owner, it's the buyer of the cargo, really. Downstream, it's the people who are buying trainers and iPhones who are going to ultimately fund the decarbonization of our industry with their scope 2 and 3 emissions. And so until we reach all the way down the supply chain and ask them what they want, we're not really going to be able to decarbonize ourselves. We can sit and push the charterers, but that's not where the buck stops. And so the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping brings all of those different counterparts into a forum in Hong Kong they're comfortable with and gets them talking about supply chain solutions which start from the iPhone and run all the way back to the raw inputs that become the iPhone. Until we take that perspective, we're not going to actually get anywhere. And that's the really unique thing I think we see in Chamber of Shipping as a expression of what Hong Kong has always been.
Thank you, and also think of that. Thanks for bringing new ideas, to new businesses to Hong Kong as well. Thank you. So Hing, we don't need to make any introduction, but I just want to say that, a lot of people here, we are tremendously grateful that you take the initiative to set up the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping, and we are the willing accomplice. So as how I described, Hong Kong as a maritime center, and for the past year, so do you think things happening have been in line with your original vision, and what are the things that you think you should have done more, or what Hong Kong should have done more or less?
Ken, as you know, we established a Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping a year ago. Could we have anticipated the number of conferences we actually participated in throughout China? Could we imagine the level and depth of discussion we've had throughout the value chain, as Greg has mentioned, in China and indeed around the world? Absolutely not. So I think, thanks to the good work of the Secretariat and all the members, we, as always in Hong Kong, we're punching above our weight. If I can just say one more line to promote Hong Kong, if you like. I know all of you have been sitting here for a long time now. It's been a long day. But what is the chamber about? It's about aspiration. We are sitting in a moment in time when the world is becoming more challenging, fragmented, global trade, geopolitics at a very uncertain point with a lot of global flashpoints. A lot of doubts have been asked about Hong Kong, being challenged regionally by Singapore, by Shanghai, even within the Greater Bay Area, with the TEUs falling down year on year in the port. So where's Hong Kong going to go? Well, I say that we are sitting in the most important place in the world, because if the world's going to be able to make this change as we go into the next phase of the industrial revolution, where we put sustainability and climate health at the forefront, China must be at the heart of this discussion with the rest of the world. And we have seen global initiatives and leadership from around the world, but it's not easy to sit around the table and have the discussion and look around us. I mean, the most important decision makers in China, from the government down to ports, to shipping companies, they're all here. A lot of our friends from around the world, the leaders of various national shipping associations, global platforms, ICS, GMF, IPIA, you're all here. Why? Because Hong Kong is a place where we can have such conversation. And I say we're in this moment in time when the global supply chain, when the global maritime ecosystem is in the midst of a remake, because we need it for humanity to make this next step together.
Thank you, Hing. So, well, I still have to reflect on some of the things you say, but at the moment, since the topic, here is the strengthening Hong Kong's position as an international maritime center. So, Nick, can you share with us your wisdom? If you have to say one or maximum two things, that you think we should do to strengthen Hong Kong as an international maritime center, right? What would you say those things are?
We've been talking about it for a year or more, haven't we, Hing? Greg, lots of you in the room here, in Shenzhen, Dalian last week, Hong Kong in April. I see Christine in the back there. A lot of hard work, workshops, pulling people together from Hong Kong, the Greater Bay Area, China, and the rest of the world. I think, it's been an incredible vision. I mean, first of all, it's been set in motion, and a lot of hard work that's followed, and engagement. People keep talking about collaboration. That's definitely been happening. I think, speaking personally, it's really opened my eyes to, we all know there's a lot going on in China, for example. But the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping specifically has provided an amazing gateway into, just how extensive and deep and how fast a lot of stuff is happening. If we've been surprised by how fast China has electrified and the impact that's had on the rest of the world, what's coming next? I think Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping has been, a really amazing facilitator in looking at the other things that are coming, not least green methanol, where I think there was a perception in you know, Western Europe, for example, that the methanol happy hour was over. You know, that's just one example where there's a lot happening. So I think it's just the start, but you know, we've achieved quite a lot already, and certainly we've learned a lot as an organization. And you know, I'm looking forward to the next steps, and Hong Kong is at the center of all of that.
All right, thank you, Nick. You know, your answer is very diplomatic. You know, so Lianjun, you know, can you say something, you know, a little bit, you know, more controversial, you know, and say what we can do in Hong Kong to strengthen our position as a maritime center?
I think, as I said this afternoon, really, for instance, we are facing 301. Hong Kong owners are facing US fees. Then the China side, the Hong Kong owners will pay the China port fees. So they did not benefit from either. I think that's very important, in particular Hong Kong's position. Hong Kong is free port. There's no tax on importing except for liquor, right? So now we should really telling the government level, either mainland and the US, where really free port will encourage all the people coming to the business. In particular, on China side, as I mentioned today, this afternoon, when China makes any policy, they should consider Hong Kong interests. For instance, as you recall, China's port deals, special port deals, they will levy port deals for the vessels. Exceptions is for the China build or the vessel coming to China for repair. Then I would suggest Hong Kong ship owners should be exempted from China port deals. So what I'm saying is we should, you know, really tell the government level they should consider Hong Kong.
So thank you,
I want to
Lianjun.
jump in here
Yeah.
because Lianjun really started on a rather interesting and provocative note. So I want to continue to be provocative. Directly as a result of US-China tension, this has benefited Hong Kong insofar as a lot of tech companies which would have otherwise selected New York and have Hong Kong as a listing center all came to Hong Kong. So as a result, over the past 12 months, Hong Kong has become the #1 destination for IPO around the world.
Yeah, thank you. Hing, thanks for adding that additional, you know, angle. And Lianjun, you know, I definitely, you know, appreciate, you know, the fact that you think, you know, in Hong Kong, by providing the rights, perhaps the policies, you know, recognized by the states. I think people that will have substance in Hong Kong actually can, in this geopolitical climate, can actually help them, you know, to address, you know, some of the issues. Although there is a truce at the moment, but these things are going to come back, you know. So Hong Kong can play its role, and Hong Kong is part of China. So if Hong Kong is going to be a Chinese operator, then being a Chinese operator should also has its benefit. I think this is what you're saying, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
So that makes Hong Kong more attractive. People coming to continue to do business.
Yeah, and Greg, you know, you have any new ideas, you know, for us, you know, how we can actually improve, you know, as the maritime center?
Yeah, I don't know actually if I'm good for new ideas, but I can certainly provide an old one. I think if we want to understand what Hong Kong is and can be to the world, it's about what the resilience of its model has been over time. Writing off Hong Kong is a little bit of a long-term sport. People have been doing it for like 200 years since foreigners originally came here, 300 years, 400 years ago. But this part of the world, just by virtue of its geography, has always been where the East has met the West. And that continues to be the case. And that is why when things like the financial market shift, it comes so rapidly back to Hong Kong, because it is the point where the Asian capital will meet global opportunities and so on. And we see that geography also playing out in things like putting Hong Kong first as a maritime, a clean fuel bunkering center, right? we are much closer in Hong Kong to the sources of these fuels, which is largely northern China, than anywhere else in the world other than North China. We are a free port. We're an unlicensed port with regards to bunkering. We have a huge amount of experience in moving and trading bunker fuel as much as anywhere else in the world. And we're also the gateway to the Greater Bay, and we're on the way to all the northern ports. You don't have to deviate so far to come to Hong Kong. And so you put all these things together, this long history of being resilient, a culture of resilience, a huge proximate market just across the boundary, and a very supportive policy environment, both in the Greater Bay and with the central government in Beijing. And these factors play well together to allow us to move forward. The one thing I would say is that people who have been successful for a long time, regions, cities, countries that have been successful for a long time, look at Europe, tend to get lazy and rest on their laurels. And I think what the Hong Kong Chamber of Shipping is about is sitting and saying, okay, well, we're here. This is what we've been doing. And there's all these other new things we need to do. And we need to be pushing forward, and we need to be thinking in new ways. We can't just say it's always been like this. It will continue to be so. The reason it has been like that is because we've always worked towards it. And so I'd say, the renewal loss over industry, bringing young folks in, pushing for new outcomes and accepting that things are going to change is perhaps some of the magic sauce.
Thank you. So Hing, one more suggestions, as to how we can be a better maritime center.
In the past, knowledge under the industrialized model happens within certain specific sectors, domains, and disciplines. And I think people have come to realize that real knowledge that have practical value for the world happens in between domains, regions, and disciplines. And I think this is what Hong Kong is about. Fundamentally, under one country, two systems, we're sitting in between worlds, and we have perception, we have insights, and we have connection into different worlds. And that is, I think, one of the fundamental strengths that is very difficult to replicate elsewhere if you want to engage China effectively. And that is why I think Hong Kong will continue to be a source of innovation, because what we think, we promote, we enact upon it, and we can make it happen.
Well, this is a very good, super connected point. And not to disappoint Capital Link, maybe given my finance background, I would say that, one of the things I really would love to see is to see the ports of onshore RMB, which is very willing to be deployed as sustainable and good capital for shipping, to find its way in a regulated manner, perhaps using those connectivity systems that has been well established in Hong Kong. So before the internationalization of RMB, that ports of money can be coming to Hong Kong and can be the capital that would support, also the new wave, of the new energy ships. So with that, I'm mindful of the time. So maybe just one last question. This is the end of the day, for these, and we have this very interesting, a panel and topic. So for anyone here, if there is one parting thoughts, that you would like them to leave with, right? What would that be? That they will remember from this panel. I haven't asked you this question before, so you have to answer this unprepared. Lianjun, you're very prepared to answer this.
Yeah. I think I need to think about it.
Why don't I jump in?
Please.
Because being the youngest, I also have the least to lose, right? Yeah, I'd say, my parting thought, particularly from our friends that have come abroad, 2023, 2022, the world was writing off Hong Kong and it was a dead city, right? Financial Times wrote article after article after article about how Hong Kong was done, the party was over, and so on. And I just ask yourselves to look around at the booming IPO market, the things we have going on here, the huge opportunities that are flowing in from the Greater Bay, and really say, is any of that true? And if you don't think that's true, then bring your friends and tell them it's not true. Go home and tell them it's not true. Tell them that Hong Kong is alive and kicking. And there is so much to be done here still. Trust me, if there wasn't so much to be done here still, I would be looking to live somewhere else. I've got plenty more time ahead of me, and I don't have to spend it in Hong Kong.
Yeah, partly to build on what Greg's just said, I think as well, can Hong Kong go to the rest of the world and tell the story, get out there? Not just the Hong Kong story, the China story. I think there's still a big gap between what's really happening here and what much of the rest of the world thinks is happening. And the risks and opportunities related to that need to be communicated more effectively.
Thank you. Those are really, really good points. Lianjun?
Yes, I think just recently, I have lots of clients coming back to Hong Kong, and they are thinking Hong Kong is well positioned, in particular, doing business in China, and that's really a lot of people now understand Hong Kong is still the most attractive place in particular shipping. Thank you.
There are a couple of points I want to make. One, if you think China is relevant for our industry, for your business, there's no better place to be if you're an international company than to be in Hong Kong, because it provides privileged access, one country, two systems. You can still Google here, while you can also access everything that else is happening in China. We are trying to innovate across different domains in law, new fuels, finance, currency, all of that. But at the same time, I would say Hong Kong also remains a critical part to help Chinese businesses globalize through our capital markets, which is something that is also high up in the priority of the Hong Kong government. So I think, Hong Kong's will continue to shift without doubt as the world is going through rapid changes. But I think we're well positioned, and there's no better place I would choose to be to conduct my business.
Thank you, Hing. And with these very interesting comments, I would like to thank all of you for being here, being in Hong Kong, to be a very important part of the Hong Kong Maritime story. And thank you very much for supporting Hong Kong as the International Maritime Center.